Hey everybody, welcome to our YouTube pre-market stream, as well as our Toys for Tots event that we do every single year. Where we come together, we raise some money for a good cause, open up the room by donation. And today we're doing it on, December 22nd, which is today. So what we're going to be doing is basically running through a normal day with you guys here. Room's open for donation as well. So if you guys do want to join after the YouTube stream, you can always jump in as well. Any dollars that you decide to donate will go strictly to Toys for Tots, nothing to us. And let's have a good day. So without further ado, let's kind of get started here. I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a breakdown on what's going to happen. Once I'm done speaking, Beth's going to come on and give you a overview of any news events that happen over the course of the evening. She'll also be going through the bigger picture items, ETFs, bigger cap names, etc., etc. Once that's done, I'll come back on, and this is Spartan speaking, by the way, if you're unaware. I'm going to be going through any of the names that are gapping up, gapping down. We'll go through the news associated with those names. We'll talk about the technicals on them, build an action plan for those names, as well as go through the SPY, the FANG, the VIX, the Qs, the IWM as well. After that's done, Selpage will come on, go through any of the macro side of things, anything that he's looking at from today from an individual point of view, as well as analyst point of view. And then we'll do a quick little recap of those individual names that I spoke about before, and we'll be ready for the open. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Beth, and I'll talk to you guys in a little bit. Beth, if you're ready, it's all yours.
Indeed, sir. So welcome. We look at here, SpartanTrading.com. Love it that we are all gathering together here for a worthy cause, Toys for Tots. All day long, in and out, whatever you want to do is fine by us. Let's take a peek at it's not much going on in terms of, at least on the macro side, macroeconomic side. This is obviously the quiet period. We do have some auctions that went through, and we did have API crude stocks. Was a larger drawdown than expected. A couple comments overnight by ECB, one of the ECB heads, saying that they would consider raising rates under quote unquote extreme circumstances. Yeah, fine, whatever. All right, so final GDP coming out today. PCE is also, don't forget, that is what the Fed likes to look at on a trailing basis. They trim it. And we also have consumer spending, yada, 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 existing home sales and consumer confidence, which has not been doing very well, but we'll see if we can get a little bit of a holiday cheer for what is going on right now. All right. Tesla, right? Popping, right? The dude is done. But I tweeted this and people got offended by it. I'm not saying he didn't earn it. I'm just saying, why would you bitch and moan if you're paying $11 billion? So that means that you basically, on stock options and stuff, a hell of a lot more. Be thankful. This is we have to be thankful for our gifts right now. That's what I'm trying to say, right? Okay. And I just wanted to point out long-term, short-term, leave a long-term capital gains, 20%. Okay, you do the math, right? All right. Evergrande says they will actively, this is so, we'll see how it continues to play out. I just can't imagine that the central bank or the government won't come in harder on this and help out because of the cascade effect it's having. We'll see, but what are you going to do? All right, so this is what I wanted to share with you. This is the 5 stages of grief. And I think we have to look at this pandemic as 5 stages of grief, right? Denial, isolation, anger, bargaining, depression. Yeah, okay. Now we're at the acceptance phase. Some of you may be at the anger phase, but I'm already at the acceptance phase. Let's move on. LFG. Okay, it's time to move on. This is going to be with us for years to come, whether it's pandemic or endemic. So every day, I Google Dr. Scott Gottlieb and say, what is he talking about today? He's always talking about something. He's tweeting. He's on, he's being rolled out. CNBC gets lots of money from that, stuff like that. And it's important to understand the underreporting in the cycle where we're at, and that's basically what he's proposing, is that we're a lot farther along in terms of this spike because we've been underreporting it for a while. And we've had this issue since the beginning, right? Of underreporting the number of cases. My friends, I apologize, but this is how we get to herd immunity, global herd immunity. We need 90%. And then hope and pray that the thing doesn't evolve mutate to the point where none of the vaccines work, right? That's where we are. embrace it. All right, holiday travel demand is staying strong. It looks immune. You know my thoughts on that, right? Omicron, let's go. All right, so this is one of the dudes I follow on investing.com. Well, look, this is why I'm showing him, because his number one is Pfizer for 2022. I like that a lot, right? So anyways, Thermo Fisher, I'm actually in this one also, believe it or not. Now, Thermo Fisher is also like Qdel, even though Qdel is more of a testing thing. It actually, I'm in these because of seasonality, as opposed to the virus. It just so happens that it's, now this is interesting, Datadog. I'm going to keep an eye on this one. I know that Mav, one of our mods, he's spot on with this one as well. So we'll see what happens with that. Right? So here we have the LabCorp, Qdel. We have to start looking at these again. I know that Abbott Labs CEO was on yesterday and basically was saying what they're doing in terms of ramping up because the government wants to give everybody, a home testing kit, LFG. We like that as well. And these are the secondary names that would also be benefiting from it. I actually got my test kits like 6 months ago, knowing that this was kind of probably happen. So I've got both the antigens as well as the Amazon sells the PCR tests. And then you have to, I don't know if it's proctored. The Abbott Labs one is proctored, but I don't know if the Amazon one is proctored. Anyways, okay, here we are, my friends. Let's take a peek. A surge in new lows that approaches the worst 25 years. You know what that means? You want to buy, right? When things can't get any worse than they already are, bottom 3% of days over the past 25 years, FIFO, right? You want to buy when nobody wants to buy, and you want to sell when nobody wants to sell. You want to be the first one in, not the last one in, last one out, right? Like FIFO. This is economics 101, right? Everybody took economics or should have had some sort of economics in their high school, whatever sort of education you have. Okay, what does this mean? We're back to 1988. Bullish. Green, 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 green. Now, granted, it's 75%, but I always say if you can be right 75% of the time, you've got no problems going on, right? So this is notable, right? We like that. Despite its reputation, it has been more volatile. It's interesting that this December, okay, this is the composite history going back to 1971, right? And you can see here that it's not as a walk in the park as everybody thinks it is. Because you get these spikes of crazy movement, right? When it averages, isn't it nice to wake up today and the market be fairly flat? I mean, this is basically what they're saying, right? So what does this mean? Bullish. 4% 2 weeks out. So we got seasonality tailwinds coming in. Everybody knows that. Then we get slapped choppy once again in the beginning of January to mid-January. And then it's more reasonable in terms of the longer dated stuff. So for me, mid-January is the next level time when I will be looking for seasonality trades going out 1-2 years. That's what I'm going to be looking at right now. Okay, so that's that. All right, let's take a peek here. Not much to talk about on this either. Very light, a little bit on the SPY. I mean, this is what happens when you have low volume days, right? Orders can go through whether it's buy or sell, whatever. It doesn't take a lot to move this market. We even can, because we're large enough now that we can actually push things around on the low float side, as well as on the some of these options that we can cause these types of sweeps. So that's kind of fun, right? Let's see what Spartan comes up with today. Okay, so this is where we are today, right? This didn't keep. Well, anyways, yesterday we were all green. And I said it wasn't going to take much to get us through the green. And now you can see here, this is actually a great tailwind. It still continues to be a great tailwind for us in terms of what we're looking for. And even Spartan was commenting yesterday, but they saw a lot of names on the daily side, the daily charts, that for continuation. And that's exactly what we need to see. And that is easier for us in terms of momentum on trading. If we can have, an all-day type grind higher. A lot of these are similar to the trading how we were doing a lot of Friday, which is a little bit different obviously, because it's expiration and you let it go to max. But anyways, Spohn will find it for us. He's the best technician there is. So intraday, that's what it's all about right now. And what, we're so happy that you're joining us. It's really a lot of fun that we have right now. All right, plus nothing going on here really. That's not, it's kind of neutral. A little bit on the green side, and that would be energy, right? But not much, right? And here we go. All right, so this is seasonality. This is for the December. Okay, so this is actually not. This is what it looks like. Let's see if it'll. There we go. Okay, so this is the Nasdaq, and this is why I've been saying that Nasdaq and the small caps would be having a nice little bounce. It's every single day going forward now from the 20th, right? It's green, 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 green. All right. So that's notable, right? Let's see what the Dow's up to. A little bit as well, but and then you can see at the end of the year, right? So some selling coming in, which would make sense, right? And then we have the Russell, green, 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 similar to. So next to the Qs, this would be the second strongest seasonality for the indices, right? And then obviously you saw the SPX, right? Not as clear cut, sloppy choppy. All right, let's take a peek. Citi hikes Apple price target, sees 5 reasons for upside. Okay, you had me at that. I love it. Let's do it. All right, so let's take a look at some of our peeps and peepettes. This is basically those who have a very high 70+% success rate and what their average return. So this is the reason why I look at this is so that if I see something sweeping, scanning on the option side, this tells me that, there's some money behind it, right? And yesterday I mentioned ABT was, the CEO was talking about ramping up the production for their COVID tests, right? Because the government's going to give us. All right, so let's take a peek at what flow is up to yesterday. 75%, 25%, this JAGX was definitely printing a lot. This actually was pretty tame. There was a lot of stuff. We did see some money coming in on the Chinese side, like this CPNG. Did see a little bit of Baba sweeping as well. I know that Spartan got us some Baba, but it's still an incredibly light time of year, right? So, and the AFRM 8.7 million, right? And driving that hundreds of thousands. I mean, seriously. So this is, spot on. This is what we're seeing. And I know that Spartan's been focusing a lot on low floats, equity side, and I've been following them that because it just makes a lot more sense this time of year. All right, what do we got? Yesterday, XLP, which had been ripping. We're going to talk about some consumer cyclicals as well as iPay, because of fintech. You know that this is something that I'm in, and I've been kind of pounding the table, and I was very fortunate to be getting the low on these names. But Tesla. Tell me about this, why don't you? Yesterday, 11 million on the long side, 2 million on the put side. Apple, same thing, 10 million. Micron, this is a meme, right? There's all kinds of memes people don't realize, right? So a meme is simply getting social media attention, right? So it can be anything. It doesn't have to be like AMC or GME. In the beginning, it's evolved, and this is why it's so much fun for us, because we get this follow-through continuation. They tend to be lemmings. They do it all day. They buy, or they sell. That's how they do it. And it's really quite fun if you can, catch it on the way up or down. Right, so let's see what's being hyped overnight. This is a hype equity. I like this. It's got a little dashboard. It's not that expensive. It also, well, I don't know if it's going to tell us what's going on here. I guess not. Let me see. Let me get it on my other one. Hold on a second. No, it's them because I can't get on any of my platforms. All right, so let's move right along here. Let's look at bonds. This is what we do every day. US, we look at the yield curve as well, domestically, as well as our 10 versus the other 10. There's only 1.5 today, my friends, and that's ABT, which would make a lot of sense, right? Okay, so yield curve, it's all about the yield curve flattening, steepening, yada, yada, yada. As you can see here overseas, it's, there's nothing this Omicron, I don't know why people got so excited about it. I mean, yeah, okay, but I don't know. All right, here's the 5-year. We talked about this. I still think we stay in this quadrant. Probably, I mean, they're already pricing in. Let's take a peek here. They're already pricing in March, right? They're starting to price in. So for those of you who are looking for a website that actually does a lot of polling and stuff, okay, so this is it, the CME has it. So if we look in terms of January, obviously, nothing going on here. So the Fed says 3, right? So the first one they're thinking about right now is March. It's the first rate hike is what they're looking at. That's what they're pricing in, okay? Now, granted, it's only 50.47, but you get the gist of that, right? Okay, so let's take a look here at the 5s, 2 5s. Okay, starting to break down some more, right? You can see on the yield curve side. Right? So here's the 5 10s, same thing. So this is actually interesting. So it's coming in a little bit, right? So this had really come up quite a bit in terms of steepening, right? And now it's starting to come back in. So that means that the 10 is starting to pick up a little bit against the 5 in terms of rates, right? Here's a 530. We look at this. This got rebuffed exactly at the 78.6% Fib. This is why I talk about this, is because it is meaningful. A lot of people only look at 61.8%. You have to also look at 78.6%, because that's the one that has to break that actually negates the current downtrend. So as far as this is concerned, we're still in a downtrend. A hell of a bounce, but still downtrend. Okay, here we are. This is the 10-year on the daily. Let's take a peek at on the monthly. What's going on here? Well, nothing actually. As you can see, still in the mid of this range. So they front ran it, institutions. All right, 10-year. Fascinating, right? This is what is going to happen. And we talked about this ad nauseum, right? Chinese have to lower their rates. Whether it's quickly or, or slowly, it doesn't matter. They have to lower their rates. Here's a German 10-year. This is fascinating. So this is starting to get perky again. It's reclaiming support, right? It's in the bottom quadrant. And you can see that right here. This is the bottom quadrant, okay? And I still think that this was an aberration. And I think this is still the main pivot, and it's going to go back and forth. It's still negative. I don't know exactly when the hell that's going to change, but it probably will be middle of next year. So let's take a look at the dollar, because obviously interest rates impact it one way or the other. Talked about this, double top, triple top, whatever. Anyways, the downtrend line on the monthly is still intact. And this is the 50% fib, and it's starting to hit. I don't know how this is going to play out. But to be honest with you, I think the market would appreciate it if it was pretty stable and we didn't go very far on the dollar side. And here's the Chinese yuan. They strengthened it, and I said, boy, that doesn't make any sense. They're slowly starting to weaken it, but not nearly as much as they have to. And the reason being is, right, for foreign direct investments. People don't want to invest in your country if you have a decaying currency, right? Because then you have currency risk. If your interest rates, right, are starting to fall off, then you have interest rate risk. Well, you get the gist of that. So the Chinese are kind of stuck in a hard and a hard place, right? Rock in a hard place. All right. How about, I mean, okay, yeah, all right, it's going up. As an asset class, right, this is going up. We saw a little bounce in gold. We saw a little bounce in crude, and this is where we are right now. Let's quickly get through this. This is Bitcoin, yada, yada. You can see it held this uptrend line on the monthly. Here we go. Here's the spread that I like to look at, Bitcoin, Ethereum. It is reclaiming. So this is telling me that Bitcoin now in this rally is going to be the leader, not the laggard. All right, here, Ethereum held fine in terms of the monthly. Let's quickly go through here as well. This is a CRB, triple, quadruple, whatever bottom. It's bouncing off. This is what we want to see. This is telling us, because crude is the largest holding in this, that crude is going to stabilize. Right? Okay, natural gas. This also had a huge bounce off. So see how that plays out. All of these are important for the stability, especially in some of these. A lot of these names are in both the SPY as well as in the Russell, these oil stocks. So that's notable as well. Here's crude hanging in there, doing what it needs to do. I just don't see this range breaking out. I think we have probably the next 6 months to a year, this range. That's what I'm thinking right now. Okay. All right. So let's take a look at DAX overseas. Nothing in the mid. Monthly. Okay, chillax, everybody. Fez, what's going on here? It actually held up where it needed. So this is the stocks, the 50. ETF. It actually held up. I was a little bit, it was all about risk reward for me. I did not add into it, and simply because I'm not going to do that here. That's not what I'm going to do. Right now, I would not even think about adding into it until we actually broke out. Okay. That's how I play it on these ETFs, not domestically. I want to go a little bit further ahead here. This is Chinese. All right, let's take a peek at our VXN, because I do want to have the time to get into some of these other things. You can see nothing much is going to get popped. It's now basically in the mid, right? So here's the VIX, VXN. This tells us, this actually is pretty accurate in terms of when you're going to see a pullback on the VIX, because it spikes and then it rolls over. The VXN is very stable, but the VIX is not. All right, here's the thing. It bounced, it held. It's now, guess what, in the mid. The small caps, this is growth value, right, on the small caps, double top, double bottom. Okay, as I say, if anybody tells you they know what's going to happen, guess what? No. Here's double top, double bottom on SPY growth value. All right, let's take a look at some of the consumer cyclicals. This is the staples, and it's obviously been running fast. It did break out. This is a monthly. It's still holding. It is pulling back. Okay, so we're seeing money rotating out of that. And it should be fairly obvious, like here's Pepsi. It popped, now it's pulling back. I'd actually like it to hold this pivot. It may not though, and it basically may get down. And this is actually a bullish narrative. And the reason why I say that is because that means that higher beta names are getting some love, right? The tech side. Here's Coca-Cola. Well, you see this pop, whatever. This is just in a massive monthly, multi-month range, right? Going way back. I mean, we've been doing this for quite some time. So this will be notable and important if we can actually break above. And you can see right here, this is the pivot on the upside. All right, here's Procter & Gamble. You can see right here, beautiful chart. It did get rebuffed, as you can see on the extension here at the upper channel. Reversion to the mean would be down here. I don't know if we're going to do that, but I think we're definitely going to come back down. 149.91 is what you would look for. None of this is really meaningful in the sense that a lot of these, it's just going to be rotation. Walmart, this is the cheapest one of all these different stable cyclicals and stuff like that. So keep an eye on this one. This actually has potential on a pickup shape, right? So here's CVS Walmart, and then I will wrap it up. It's time for Spartan to get back on. But as you can see here, CVS has been kicking Walmart's ass. And I think it's going to start coming down. So that would be long Walmart, short CVS is what it looks like. Okay. Welcome once again for those of you joining us pre-market here. This is what we do every day, Monday through Friday. And a warm welcome to those of you who are joining us with our live stream all day today for our Toys for Tots drive. Okay. All right. Are you ready, sir? You want me to continue on?
I just need a minute here, Beth, please.
Not a problem. All right, so let's take a look at Microsoft. I also want to look at some of the fintech stuff and some of the cloud stuff. And all right, so this is Microsoft, and you can see this is why I started buying a couple days ago, is because we have this quadruple bottom. Now with Microsoft, this is something I love to accumulate on a pullback. And if it had failed, I would have bought some Microsoft puts or XLK. It wouldn't have mattered. Either one's fine. Here's Microsoft, Apple. As you can see, Microsoft has pulled back a little bit, but it's at a key pivot here, and you can see this going back. Right? So this is telling me if this does hold, that Microsoft is going to gain against Apple. That's what it's telling me. And will I be short Apple? No, I'm not going to go short Apple. I do have a put butterfly on it, but I prefer to be on a weighting heavier in Microsoft right now than Apple. Okay, here's Oracle. Let's take a peek at that. Interesting how it did hold on a weekly, this extension, this channel. Lovely. If it does, there's a lot of support coming in on Oracle. So this is actually something that I have orders that we worked on in class last week. I'm not getting filled. So that's a bullish narrative when I have these limit orders in and things come down and I can't get filled on it. Okay, here's Microsoft against Oracle. Right? Microsoft has been outperforming right now. I still think this continues, but we're at the mid. There's no high risk reward trade set up with this. It's like flat. It's neutral. Right? So nothing there for us. Here's CRM, Salesforce against Microsoft. Look at this. Show it. Oh my goodness gracious. You didn't think of this, huh? Microsoft just kicking ass against CRM, and it looks like it's going to continue down. And this is actually notable. I probably, if it bounced and it failed to reclaim this pivot, I'd probably get back. It does have a gap to fill. You know me, I'm a gap fill kind of gal. Here's iPay, right? This is on the fintech side. This is what I like to look at as well. As you can see here, 38.2% is being reclaimed. Notable. All right, let's look at some of the components. MasterCard, top dog, right? All right, double bottom here, trying, it has not broken this down trend line though. I am in MasterCard longer dated stuff. I will not add into it unless we get a break of that downtrend line on the monthly. Okay, so here we have, this is American Express, the second most heavy weighting in the iPay, right? So you can see here that we do have on a monthly, this American Express. I normally don't trade American Express, but this goes to show you where we are in this cycle. And I think this has room on the upside to get to 178 on it. Okay, here's Visa. This is the one I've been pounding the table on this pullback. I was very fortunate. I got filled again last month at these lows and this month as well. And the lows did hold, and now we're starting to see that bouncing. Okay. All right, let's take a look at Visa against the iPay. This is really fascinating. Visa's been outperforming the iPay, so its other components in it have been weakening, right? This is really interesting. So this is basically saying that Visa's going to lose against other components of the iPay. So that's kind of fascinating. At least I think it's fascinating, right? So it's all about best bang for your buck, right? If we look at different sectors and components of that sector, I'm looking for individual stocks as a comparison ratio that have more upside or more downside. It's literally this. So obviously if it has more upside, then, you know, I want, and you can put these spreads on, but I want to be more weighted on something that I know has a nice tailwind to go up on the downside. So here's MasterCard, Visa, as you can see here. This is really interesting, right? So this MasterCard is holding this one quadruple, whatever pivot point. So that's notable, right? And it looks like MasterCard against Visa is pretty strong, right? If it does start to break down, then, you know, so what is it? American Express, same sort of thing. It is holding this uptrend line on the monthly, fascinating as well. If it does not, then once again, we're going to see Visa outperform a lot of these components. And that would be okay just because of where we are in the cycle with Visa. I love Visa in January, mid-January for an all-year grind higher. It just does fantastic. And I've been patient. Now we see how this plays out. Visa against PayPal. So obviously PayPal's been taken to the woodshed, toad feather, you name it. This is kind of interesting because this is just such a beautiful grind higher, and it is holding about a 38.2%. So I think this actually continues on this Visa PayPal spread right now. Right? Let's look at FISV also in this, and you can see here as well for those who like to trade it. Right? We got multiple pivots, touch of the pivot. It reverted back to the mean, but it hasn't reclaimed it. So that's, for me, is pretty notable. So we can't really say that this is going to continue to go higher. The other side of the coin is right now is that this is kind of in the mid of this larger consolidation. Okay. And here's PayPal in and of itself. And
I'm ready to come on whenever.
All right, my friends, welcome.
Alrighty, guys, what's going on? Morning. Let me just pop up the screen share here. We'll get going. Thanks for taking it over there for a second there, Beth. Alrighty, guys, morning. So if you guys are new to chat, we'll go over the new to chat information section stuff once I close down the YouTube stream in a little bit. But if you guys are new to chat, just real briefly, you can click the Discord link that's emailed to you. Once you do come in, click on the disclaimer section, give that a read, as well as go to the new to chat information section, scroll to the top and read from the top down. We'll go over what to go over, or we'll go over that section later in detail once I close down the YouTube stream, like I said. All right, pre-market tickers on watch, guys. What do we got going on today? A couple different things. Tesla, CAT, KMX, Baba, ALK, Brtx. Tesla gapping up a continuation from last day's move. CAT, Bernstein upgrades Caterpillar to outperform, announces $240 price target, gapping up. KMX, earnings beat EPS and revs, year-over-year growth 64.5%. Stocks gapping up on that. Baba, China regulators suspend Alibaba cloud partnership, gapping down on that. ALK reports data from late stage eosinophilic, I can't say these words, eosinophilic gastrointestinal disease studies, obviously gapping down on that data. Primary and secondary endpoints were not met. Brtx company entered into a master service agreement with PRC Clinical, a contract research organization, and basically gapping up on that. Let's take a look at these names from a technical standpoint intraday. First two we're going to be looking at today, guys, Tesla and CAT. Quite impressed with actually Tesla's move. Very nice overnight. Let's see where this thing's got room to today. So let's take a look at that daily chart. I think it's going to be an interesting day. We got some nice range. Obviously, we'll go through the spine in a little bit, and I'll show you what I mean by that. Anywho, Tesla, guys, let's take a look. Quite weird I don't have any levels up. That's okay. So we're back into the gap fill area that previously broke. Some recent range highs. Okay. That should be good. We don't need more than that, I don't think. All right, so we've got a little bit of a downtrend break on the daily on Tesla. Decent amount of room to the upside, actually, into the top end of the recent range, which will be around like $1,000. Pivot to the upside today, guys, is going to be 962. 962 is able to hold. I got room towards 977.38 to 990. That level breaks 1003 will be tested. Unable to hold, we look for a pullback on Tesla towards 947.41 and 927.14 on the downside. Going to be leaning bullish neutral, looking for a continuation push to the upside today. Key thing is going to be able to hold this pivot, this 962 level for continuation. For continuation to the upside. We hold that, we should be able to get that push. But it's a decent looking daily chart off the lows. I like the downtrend break. 50 EMA, guys, is 989, which I believe will be the magnet for today. I think we're going to continue to push till we hit that level. And yeah, we'll see what happens. Short-term EMA support reclaimed, mid-term EMA support reclaimed. And yeah, we'll see if we can get into that bigger term, longer-term EMA support, or resistance, I should say, which is the 50 EMA there. All right, let's take a look at CAT. So CAT, a little bit of a gap up. Not huge by any means, but some of these GDP growth names actually been looking pretty good on the daily chart. So basically traded off the bottom end of the range back to the top. Still have some more room to push. Let's get all these levels here. Nice move on that upgrade. Okay, we're pretty much actually good here. I get last day's low labeled as well. That's it. No, that's fine. Okay, perfect. At 201.94 pivot, levels able to hold. They got room towards 203.44 to 205.22. Unable to hold, we look for a pullback towards 199.64 to that 198.54 level. That level breaks, 196.12 will be tested. This pivot today, 201.94, guys, is the 50 EMA reclaim on the daily to the upside. It's the middle of its range right now off the lows. It's, looks good for continuation only if that pivot point can't hold. If it can't hold, then obviously we'll see a little bit of a pullback on that name today. Let's take a look at the next two names. So leaning bullish neutral on CAT. Take a screenshot of this. All right, next two names, guys, Kmx, Baba. So Kmx, a little bit of a gap up there on their earnings. Earnings were pretty solid. Let's see where we got room to today. Basically, we're back into the 50 EMA as well on this name. Sitting right on it at the moment. All right, let's see where we got room to. Pretty easy chart to label, a little bit of a downtrend break as well. Kind of off the range lows. Interesting. Some tight support levels there. Okay. Looks like uptrend held on the weekly as well on that pullback, but not that it matters because earnings came out. They were solid. All right, 144.60, 142.06 pivot to the upside today. Again, that's the 50 EMA. Levels able to hold 144.69 to 147.56 will be tested. Unable to hold, we look for a pullback towards 140.01 to 136.59 on the downside. Overall on KMX, going to be leaning bullish neutral, looking for a continuation push to the upside today if that pivot point is able to hold. So decent looking chart there. Let's take a look at Baba. So Baba, a little bit of a gap down. Not massive, but a little bit disappointing because it got so close to getting back above its short-term EMA support. Great trade in it yesterday. Basically giving back that entire movement. Let's take a look at this thing intraday. All right, 117.83, range support pivot on the downside today. This level is unable to hold. We got room towards 113.70. That level breaks. We got room for continuation lower into the 108.91 level. Able to hold, look for a pushback to 121.32 to 125.88 on the upside. Overall, going to be leaning bearish neutral today, looking for continuation lower. If that pivot point's unable to hold, I think we can test the bottom of the previous range low, which is at 113.70 level. Probably will find some support around there, I'm thinking. But right now, going to be leaning bearish neutral on that. So that's KMX, that is Baba. Let's take a look at the next two names, which are ALK and Brtx. Keep an eye on BVX V this morning as well, guys. It's a little small cap name running. Maybe the next level on it if you want. 275. Looks like 283, 297, 306. Next three levels. All right. Let's take a look at ALK. So this one's got beaten down. Obviously, got destroyed off. So what I like to do on biotechs, of course, is check everything when they get this destroyed on data release. So let's take a look. So first and foremost, how much cash do they got? Okay, so they get 505 million in cash. Let's see what they got in regards to catalysts coming up, if there's anything else in their pipeline. One, two, three, four. Three, four. Half their pipeline failed. They got other things in their pipe, which is unrelated, which it's actually down this much. 505 million in cash. They did burn 220 million a year. The cash for 2.5 years almost. Book value per share 970. Cash per share 946. This might be too much of a move to the downside, actually, guys. Could be an opportunity here. This is going to be an interesting one today. Going to label some major levels off the lows. We get that type of a bounce, but you never know, right? So I'm doing fib extensions on this thing to the downside. 117 level. Let's take a look at the same off the lows. Go look at these ones. All right, should be good here. At 117 level, the only one I'm missing. No, it's actually too tight. We won't need to label it. All right, 114.83 pivot to the downside today. This level is unable to hold. We got room towards 726. That level is unable to hold. It does have room all the way to like $2. There's nothing really there. I'll probably get an intraday fib once I can see a low on it. I bet you will be around $5, but we'll just use that 726 for now. 1483 is able to reclaim. We got room towards 2613 to 3190 on the upside. I do think this is overdone a little bit on the downside. Of course, we got to be waiting for basing to do anything on the long side. So be leaning bearish, neutral out the gate, looking for continuation lower, than watching for basing to take the name on the long side. Let's take a look at this Brtx. So Brtx, nice little gap up today, 607 a share. Looks like this is a former runner. Not sure if you guys can hear me. I think my computer just froze. Oh, there we go. Whoops. Sorry, guys. Not sure what happened there. Weird. Anyways, so let me just get that. And there we go. So pivot to the upside today, 618. This level was able to hold to get rid of 715 to the $8 level. Unable to hold, we look for a pullback towards 538 to the 480 on the downside. Maybe leaning bullish neutral of the gate. Looking for a pop and topping intraday for a short. Sorry guys, not sure Brtx. All right, let's take a look at the spine of the fang. Anyways, so it was really weird how it did that. Let me just get that. There we go. I'll save these charts just in case. So pivot to the upside today, 618. This level was able to hold to get rid of 715 to the $8 level. Unable to hold, we look for a pullback towards 538 to the spine of the fang. 80 on the let's take a look. Market. Now let's do this as well. I like to do this. See the daily at the same time. So what do we got on the SPY? So basically yesterday we reclaimed support for the the extension gap to the downside. 50 EMA reclaimed, pushed back into the 13, unable to break through that level at the moment, as well as recent well, we did reclaim that, I guess, that inverted head and shoulders on the daily, so that's good, but unable to get through short-term EMA support back to the upside. A little bit of a pullback off of that level right now. Pivot to the upside today is going to be the 462.65. That level is able to hold 464.67 to 466.59 will be tested. Unable to hold 460.68 to 459.22 on the downside. Overall on the SPY, going to be leaning on the bullish neutral side today. I want to see a little bit of a basing and continuation push back to the upside. We'll see if we get that, Santa rally, guys, or not. I do think the market looks much better from a technical perspective. I think that 50 EMA will hold today if we pull into it around that 459.22 area. So if we get to that lower end support range, I do think it will hold up and we can get a bounce off of it. Otherwise, I'm looking for a little bit of a curl off the open and then a push back to the upside. So that is the SPY. Let's take a look at Apple here and the rest of the FANG. All right, Apple, obviously you can see on the daily, it's flagging to the upside, looks better. EMA support reclaimed, it's got some room to push. Pivot to the upside today, 172.48, levels able to hold to get room towards 178.88. Unable to hold 170.57 to 168.28 will be tested. We'll see if these levels hold. Obviously, you can see the inverted head and shoulders on the hourly, right? That held yesterday, so that's a good sign. Yeah, we'll see what happens. Yesterday out the gate, obviously, we got a little bit of a pull on everything. So we'll see how it acts, but I'm going to be leaning bullish neutral based off of that daily chart right now. Let's take a look at Amazon. So Amazon, guys, pivot to the upside today. 34.07. It's, pushing into a lot of EMA resistance on the upside, but it's done a pretty good job of breaking that short-term downtrend. We'll see if it can get continuation, but 34.07 pivot, levels able to hold 34.39 and 34.64. Unable to hold, we look for a pullback towards 33.72. That level breaks, 33.38 on the downside will be tested. Overall on Amazon, going to be leaning on the bullish neutral side today, looking for a continuation push higher. Whoops, if that pivot point can hold. So we shall see what happens there. But I do think it looks pretty good. All right, let's take a look at Netflix. Take a screenshot of this real quick. Alrighty, Netflix. So curling off the lows, EMA support to be reclaimed on the upside, 672 pivot, level hold 609. 609.29 will be tested. That level break 614.84. Unable to hold 593.71 to 583.29 on the downside. Overall on Netflix, going to be leaning on the bullish neutral side today, looking for a continuation push higher if that pivot point can hold. So we'll see what happens there. I do think it looks pretty good though. So that's Netflix. Let's take a look at Facebook. Facebook, 50 EMA support reclaim on the daily. That looks good. $332.64 levels able to hold to get rid of towards 338.69. That level breaks 342.29 will be tested. Unable to hold, look for a pullback towards 327.58. That level breaks 322.72 will be tested on the downside. Overall on Facebook, leaning bullish neutral, looking for a continuation push to the upside today. Let's take a look at Google. $28.63.89 pivot levels able to hold to get room towards 28.93. Unable to hold 28.42. 52 will be tested. 28.22.23 on the downside. Overall on Google, going to be leaning on the bullish neutral side as well today. We'll see if it can get above that 50 EMA. That's going to be the key thing. A lot of EMA resistance here, but it does look good. Uptrend's holding in the short term, so I think we can get continuation push for now. All right. So that's that. Let's take a look at the VIX Qs and IWM. $21.83, guys. Pivot on the VIX to the upside today. Levels able to hold 23.52 to 24.80 will be tested. Unable to hold 20.50 to 19.52 on the downside. Overall, on the VIX, not leaning any particular direction, but it is notable we pulled back into that 50 MA and we actually held it. So that 2050 level is fairly key today. Keep an eye on. Okay, so keep an eye on that out the gate, and we'll watch this for direction all day intraday. Let's take a look at the Qs. QQQ. Pivot to the upside today, 390.14. This level is able to hold. They got room for continuation towards 392.28. Unable to hold 387.08 to 384.25 on the downside will be tested. Overall on the QQQ is going to be leaning bullish, looking for a continuation push higher. Like the fact that obviously it's pushed up back above 50 MA into the short-term EMA support reclaim on the daily, and it held its range pretty good. So 390.14 though is going to be the big level to get through. So we'll see what happens there, and I might as well get the top end resistance, 395.29. Okay, and last but not least, guys, let's take a look at the IWM. IWM pivot to the upside today, 219.33. Levels able to hold 221.28 will be tested. Unable to hold 217.67 to 216.61 on the downside. Overall on the IWM, going to be leaning on the bullish neutral side as well. This is probably one of the best at the indices, looking named off lows. It's held the monthly support, held the weekly support, broke the downtrend on the daily, reclaimed short-term EMA support as well as all other short-term support. And typically when you get that 13 EMA reclaim, you get a bounce towards the 50 MA. So that's quite a bit of room higher if that level can hold. Level to hold, of course. Well, 217.86 will be a key level. But pivot to the upside today is 219.33. Just worth noting where that level is. We should actually do this, 217.86. Move it up to that level where it needs to be. And that's that. Alrighty, so that's a SPY, that's a FANG. Those are the individual names that we're looking at today, guys. I'm going to go ahead and pass over to South Beach while I type up the pre-market action plan. We'll do a quick little recap before the open. Again, welcome, guys, if you're here for the pre-market stream as well as the Toys for Tots events today. Good way to raise some money for a great cause. Anyways, South Beach, if you're ready, it's all yours.
Okay. Good morning, guys. Okay, so let's see what we have this morning. Okay, so the 10-year had a big day yesterday, quite a bit of movement, right? Yield went up. It's currently 1.45, so it's given back a little bit. You would expect this. Trading in a range. Nothing really too exciting there. The spread between that and the 5-year is 23, which is really, really low. Doesn't bode that great for the banks. Okay, but on that big up day yesterday, the banks had a good day. But let's look at reality. Reality is that rates are staying stubbornly low, that the yield curve is stubbornly flat. And if you're in the business of borrowing short and lending long, it's a crappy business. Okay, so that goes for banks, insurance, et cetera, et cetera. If rates go up, that curve will steepen. But one day does not make a trend. So let's see how it goes. All right. Germany's rates, Britain's rates, let's see, they're up as well, 0.90. Kind of in the middle of their trading range of like 0.73 and 1.15. So and their curve is as well very flat. Okay. I'm just looking what it is, 0.26. So the same as our 0.16 actually. So pretty flat. And that goes for all of Britain. Rates are a little bit higher. The 10-year in Germany is minus 0.29, so at the upper end of its recent range, but nevertheless, these rates provide no competition for equities, guys. No, zero. Okay, so keep that in mind. And that's the bond. Okay, so let's see what else we got this morning. Let's go to commodities. So oil is off a smidge, a couple of pennies, nothing to get excited about. I see on my machine it's up now, but it's basically flat. Okay, natural gas is stuck its head above 4, a far cry from the 6.5, kind of in the middle of its trading range, I guess, kind of the low end of the recent trading range. But I mean, Europe's being held hostage by Russia, so we'll see what happens there. As far as we're concerned, $4 is high, but that's what it is. Okay. Copper, again, tight trading range. All this is positive for equities, guys, because companies can plan, they can borrow money cheaply, and all that other stuff. So equities are sitting in the driver's seat. As far as commodity, chemical, agricultural commodities, those prices are higher pretty much across the board this morning. Lumber's over 1,000 still. Coffee staying high, etc. So these rates are pretty high, and we'll see what happens. Okay, but for now, that you can see why the Fed is nervous about inflation and all that other stuff. The currency market's been super quiet, unchanged against the North American currencies pretty much. Japan, US dollars up small. Flat against the Chinese currency, and the euro is trading in that really tight €1 range, 112.5, 113.5. So that's been what's going on there. Bitcoin is unchanged. I never thought I'd say that. Okay, unchanged. And Ethereum is down 1%. So nothing really fancy there. Now they're starting to quote Solana, which is up 3% as well. Okay, so that's that. Let's look at the foreign markets, see what we got. FTSE, dead flat. DAX, dead flat. CAC, dead flat. The Nikkei, dead flat. China, same thing, flat. Really flat. And Hong Kong is up 0.5%. Okay, so we have a flattish market. Yesterday, a couple of observations. Number one, volume was really, really thin. Okay, it's going to get thinner today. Okay, when it's really thin and stays thin and gets thinner, you got to be careful. Okay, you can't overtrade. You got to do your trading. You got to chop away. We'll see what happens, but I would imagine as the week goes on, the volume will become less. So with light volume, like I take overnights oftentimes based on volume, and I only could take a few things because the volume was so crappy. All right, you had a lot of stock movement, but you had crappy volume. Okay, so let's go. Let's see, banks and Fed. You're not going to hear from these guys until the beginning of the year. China. So China did something this morning. Remember, I took the hate off of China yesterday. I've been hating these stocks for what now? 8, 9 months. So I no longer have them in the short column. But you remember what I said? My fear is that the country just keeps pounding away at these companies. So today it was Baba. What did they do there? Hold on a second. I know Spartan went over it. But they always have, I think they really have a real dislike for this company. China ready to suspend Alibaba's cloud partnership. Okay, so this one's in the doghouse. And because of that, the Chinese stocks are selling off across the board. Now, when I say I take the hate off them, it doesn't mean I like them on the long side. It just means it's gotten to the point where shorting it, it feels like the last guy threw in the towel on Baba day before yesterday. And so, I don't know, at $117, I mean, why bother? Okay, really. The big problem out there is, will they delist? Either by the Chinese government trying to save face and taking them out, or the US government saying, you know what, you're not abiding by, generally accepted accounting principles and take a hike. I think the chances of that happening are pretty high, but not for every company. So we'll see what happens, okay? But clearly, the Chinese government really has a problem with Baba, and every chance they get, they pound this baby. So that's that. So that's what you have with China, and because of it, the whole group is down. Crypto, not much going on there. Oil market, we discussed. The virus. Okay, so what's happening with the virus? 80% lower risk of hospitalization, right? That's came out overnight. I don't know how much more. I think it's, I forget the number they use for increased likelihood of spread. I think it was some very high number, whatever it was. Bill Gates commented on this morning. He thinks this wave will be over by March. I know a ton of people who have it. No one's really sick, just aches and pains, nothing like it was. And I think that's basically bullish. I think the market looks out a few months, and that's why I kind of like the airlines and the cruise lines. I like travel, and I told you guys that yesterday morning. That worked out pretty well. And today, even with weakness in the S&Ps, you see that the cruise lines are positive and the airlines are not even down pennies. Okay, so I think that'll be fine. I'm going to stick with that for a bit, I think. Kind of gravitating towards those kind of names. I think the market's okay at these levels, basically. Let's look at how the setup is on the technicals. All right. So the SPYs don't look wonderful, but I would say they're neutral. I have no sell signal. And on the weekly, it's fine. On the Qs, same thing. On the Russell, this one probably gives me a sell signal on Monday, but I need 2 sell signals on 2 successive Mondays to have a sell. So I don't have it yet. Okay. Transport average looks okay, kind of like the SPYs and the Qs. And that's really it. Okay. So I think the market looks okay, not fantastic, but I don't think it looks bad by any stretch. And compared to everything else out there, I think it's the best place to be. No question about that. Okay. So that's that. Not a whole lot of news today, guys. Really kind of thin on that area. It probably stays that way. So stocks trading up on news. You have this Kmx situation, right? That was up. They had earnings. Voya was added to the S&P. KKR is up. They provided some kind of update, but it's barely moving. Let's see. Musk is saying he sold enough stock, so the stock is popping on that. Still up. Yep. That's really it. On the news on the short side, you have earnings in Camp, which were poor, and RKLY. BB was down a little bit on earnings. Let's see if it's still down. Yeah, barely. So that's nothing. Okay. And then you have this disaster du jour in the biotech area. I keep telling you guys, stay the hell out of Dodge. These stocks are in a house of pain, and I don't know when they're getting out, but it's really a crap show. Okay. So ALLK, $10, minus $74. Everybody was bullish to neutral on the stock with 80-something dollar targets. No one has any foresight. And I look at the list of holders, and surprisingly enough, there's some really smart hedge funds in this one. NIA Management is long it. Baker Brothers is long it. Those are 2 really good guys. I mean, that's not middle of the road, top shelf. They didn't own a crap load, but Baker Brothers had 700,000 shares, and the other guy, NIA, had 2.1 million. That's a lot of dough. There's a lot of pain in the biotech sector today. The stock is just, you know what it is? Between 740,000 shares is small, unless you own it. 703,000. So, I mean, that's a lot of money to lose, but these guys are big boys. So in the scheme of things, it's not a $59 million position, probably isn't even on that first page of assets, let's say. No, it's on the second page. So yeah, it's not terribly huge, but it's a bad loss nonetheless. Okay, so that's that. What else? AGIL is doing an offering. PFRI is doing an offering. Stock's up anyway. And that's really it as far as the news. Okay. Let's look at the research. So CGC, Bank of America, goes from a neutral to a sell and takes the target to $7.75. Okay. Who would have thunk it? All right. And as bad as CGC is, guys, Tilray is much worse. Okay. Yeah, most mutual funds, absolutely. All right. So CGC, Tilray, these stocks really suck, guys. And if you're going to play the names, I'm telling you, buy the F's, find the US ones, Carl F, GTBIF, et cetera, et cetera. Those are not so terrible. All right. But listen, this pot sector is really just awful. So, you know, no sense dabbling in it, to tell you the truth. I've tried, made a little money. You get 1 or 2 days, you got to take your profits right away. Okay. That's just, they're just bad. What else came out in research? AGCO was downgraded by Bernstein in what was relatively a bullish call. So I think that's notable. They raised the target to 127 from 117, but I'm surprised because they upgraded 2 other stocks, which I'll get to in a minute. I don't think that position that's actionable, however. Okay. What else? ADGI was downgraded. That was around it, really. Okay, everybody's talking about this ALLK. That's the one that everybody's, you know, these guys are geniuses. They come in today, they had $80, $100 targets, and today they bring them down to 10. Okay, good job, guys. Way to be. So that's that on the short side. Let's look at the long side, okay? Apple, $200 target. Where was that? I think it was at Citibank. They raised the target from 170 to 200. Now, we recall 2 weeks ago, everybody was raising it to that level, right? So they're a little late, but 200 is their target this morning. All right. Big C upgraded from neutral to outperform. I know Chris Spartan likes to trade that one. Target 50 from Wedbush. All right. Wedbush also likes this LC. The chart in LC is horrific. Look at that. $50 to $24 in a straight line. Okay, they like the stock. Target goes from 50 to 40. So they switched analysts. That's why there's a target change with an initiation. Okay, that's what that would effectively mean. Baird likes WBA. I thought this was an interesting call, maybe actionable too. Reiterate the outperform. They take the target from 68 to 70, and they're saying with all this COVID stuff and testing and all this stuff they're doing, they're going to beat their numbers, which makes a lot of sense to me. Okay. Evercore likes CRM. They have a 375 target. That's their top pick. Nico likes Microsoft with a 410 pick. I have no opinion on Nico as a research house. They barely print anything, and I have no ability to tell you if this guy is good, bad, or indifferent. Okay, so I wouldn't play it based on that. Okay, it could be some 15-year-old in his basement telling you 410. Okay, Susquehanna likes Boeing. I think the things for Boeing are getting a little better. Okay, the travel and leisure sector should come back. China should approve the 737 MAX. They'll probably even order some, or they'll threaten to not order if we don't do X, Y, and Z. Who the hell knows how it's going to work out? But I think Boeing is at a good level. So that's that one. What else do we have? EAT. I thought this was interesting. I don't like Piper Research, but they reiterate the outperform. They take the target from 100 to 80, and the stock's $36. Chart is terrible. I mean, these are the kind of stocks that when this COVID stuff goes away in what I think will be March or so, these stocks should really outperform. So, I mean, maybe you do. I'm thinking maybe call spreads out later. I mean, that's what's going through my head. So, you know, Laser. This is a stock I've been watching. I've talked to you guys about. Initiated buy target 38 at Citibank. Okay. What else? All right, Bernstein. They upgraded CAT and PACCAR equal to outperform, target 240 in CAT, target 98 in PACCAR. They're saying the concerns about the machinery cycle ending are overdone. That's why I said AGCO. I'm a little surprised they downgraded it. So CAT and PACCAR they like. Okay, upgrading both. Bernstein Research used to be really good. Now I think it's not very good. Led by who I think is the worst analyst out there is Tony Sacconaghi, who does Apple and Tesla and has never been right. So take the other side of that guy and you'd be rich. See if there's anything else, guys. Affirm, reiterate the outperform, take the target from 127 to 108. This is Piper. Is seeing an increase in credit losses. That's the bear case in the firm. We'll see how it goes. But that's their call. And you know, you got to be aware of the bear case and everything, right? So that's that. I don't think there's any other research worth a damn. Abbott takes a target of 150 at Raymond James. That's really it. Group rotation wise, I think the S&Ps are fine. I think high P names might be a little soft today as hedge fund managers gravitate towards opening names. Okay, so I'm kind of still like the airlines and cruise lines and cyclicals and stuff like that. Not so keen on these high PE names. I think the street money managers are gravitating towards those kind of companies at the expense of these high I can't even call them PE names because most of them don't have earnings. These high valuation kind of names. And that's how I think it's going to play out for the rest of the week, probably into the new year. All right, so that's it for me. I'm going to give it back to Spartan. Thanks for listening. Toys for Tots is a great charity. All those little kids should get what they want for Christmas. It's important. So thanks for joining us. And Chris, Spartan, it's all yours.
All right, thanks, South Beach guys. Morning. What's going on? Let's take a look at what we got going on today. If you guys are new to chat, have already done so, make sure to click the Discord link that's emailed to you. When you come to the chat, it's going to look like this. First, area to go to disclaimer section, then click on that new to chat information section. We'll go through this in just a second as well. Pre-market tickers on watch, guys. What do we got going on today? Everything's posted. If you guys are watching the YouTube stream, you can simply just pause it and read the pre-market analysis, or right up there. So there's the pre-market stuff, and then the option side. There you go. All right, cool. All right, let's rip through this stuff. So all the charts posted, you can see that. Tesla, CAT, Kmx, Baba, ALK, Brtx. Those are the names that we're looking at today. Tesla, gapping up continuation from last day's move. Not said he was done selling as well. CAT, Bernstein upgrades Caterpillar to outperform, announces $240 price target. KMX, earnings beat, EPS and revs, year-over-year growth, 64.5%. China. Oh, sorry, Baba, China regulators suspend Alibaba cloud partnership, gapping down, ALK. Alakos reports data from large stage anisophilia disease study, basically didn't meet primary and secondary endpoint, gapping down. Brtx company entered into a master service agreement with PRC Clinical, gapping up. Let's take a look at these names from a technical standpoint intraday. First two, Tesla, CAT. So Tesla and CAT, guys, let's have a look here. So Tesla gapping up 962.27 pivot, levels able to hold 977.38 to 990.22 will be tested, unable to hold 947.41 to 927.14 on the downside. Overall on Tesla, going to be leaning bullish, looking for a continuation push to the upside today. CAT, pivot to the upside today, 201.94 level holds, 203.44 to 205.22 will be tested. That level breaks, 206.77, unable to hold, 199.64 to 198.54 on the downside. Overall on CAT, leaning bullish, neutral, looking for a continuation push to the upside today. Let's take a look at the next two names, KMX and Baba. Kmx Baba, Kmx 142.06 levels able to hold. 144.69 to 147.56 will be tested. Unable to hold 140.01 to 136.59 on the downside. Overall on Kmx, leaning bullish, looking for a continuation push to the upside today. Baba pivot, guys, to the downside today is 117.83 levels unable to hold. 113.70 to 108.91 will be tested. Able to hold 121.32 to 125.88 on the upside. Overall on Kmx, leaning bearish, looking for continuation lower today. Let's take a look at ALK and Brtx. Notable on ALK, guys, 934, I think, 934 cash, 960 book value. They got 4 other things in their pipe. Thing obviously got destroyed. They got cash for about 2.5 years. Obviously, probably a little bit more now because I think, well, we'll see what they do with the studies. If they discontinue everything, then they'll have more cash because their burn rate is going to go down. But we'll see. 1483 pivot level holds. Room towards 2613 to 3190. We'll be using EMA resistances to the upside as it curls back. And then if it's unable to hold 726, then room down towards 215. So a lot of room down if it can't hold. Brtx pivot 618 level hold 715 to $8. Unable to hold. We look for a pullback to 538 to 480 on the downside. Overall, Brtx is going to be leading on the bullish neutral side today on that thing. All right, let's take a look at the SPY and the FANG. Market, guys, SPY pivot to the upside today. 462.65 level is able to hold. 464.67 to 466.59 will be tested. Unable to hold. 468.82 to 459.22 on the downside. Overall on the SPY, going to be leaning bullish neutral, looking for a continuation push to the upside today if that pivot point can hold. So we'll see what happens there. Let's take a look at, actually I should type that up. Let me just do that real quick. SPY 462.65 pivot to the upside today. This level holds, room higher into the 464.67 resistance breaks. We see the 466.59 tested. Pivot unable to hold, room lower into the 460.82 support breaks. We see the 459.22 level tested, leaning bullish neutral on that name today. All right, so that's that. Let's take a look at the FANG. Well, give me one sec, my friends. All righty. Okay, let's take a look at Apple. Apple pivot to the upside today, same as yesterday. 172.48 level holds, 175.88 will be tested. Unable to hold, look for a pullback to 170.57 on the downside. They need bullish neutral on that. Nice curl on the daily. Downturn break, EMA support reclaim. Amazon pivot upside today is going to be the 34.07 level holds 34.39 to 34.64. Unable to hold 33.72 to 33.80. Sorry, 33.38 on the downside will be tested. They need bullish neutral on that. Only if that pivot can be reclaimed. Let's take a look at Netflix. Pivot upside today is going to be the 672 level holds. We got room towards 609.29 to 614.84. Unable to hold 593.71 to 583.29 on the downside. Overall, going to be leaning on the bullish neutral side today if that pivot point can hold as well. Let's take a look at Facebook. Pivot on the upside today. 332.64 level holds, 338.69 to 342.29 will be tested. Unable to hold 327.58 to 322.72 on the downside, leaning bullish neutral if that pivot point can hold. I do like the look of that name right there. Looks pretty good on the daily. Google pivot upside today. 28.63 level A is able to hold 28.93 to, well, it said unable to hold 28.42, 28.22 on the downside, leaning bullish neutral on that name as well. Let's take a look at the VIX, Qs, IWM. Be nice if I could type today. There you go. Fingers are working now. VIX 21.83 pivot, unable to hold 2050 to 1952, able to hold 23.52 on the upside will be tested. And right now, obviously going to be watching that 2050. That's the 50 EMA on the daily, so keep an eye on that. Not leaning in any particular direction, but watching it for direction on the market. QQQs pivot 390.14 level holds 392.98, 395.29 will be tested. Unable to hold 387.08, 384.25 on the downside. And last but not least, guys, IWM. Pivot to the upside today is going to be the pivot on the upside is going to be the 219.33 level holds, 221.28, unable to hold 217.86 to 216.61 on the downside. Overall on IWM, we're leaning bullish neutral, looking for a continuation push to the upside today. Okay, so that's that. Okay, so that's that. All right, so that's the SPY, that's the FANG, those are the individual names that we're looking at today, guys. If you guys joined us on the YouTube stream this morning, thanks for popping in. If you guys want to continue the day, you can simply donate to that Toys for Tots, whatever, you know, denomination you want, and you get full access for the day. So anyways, thanks for joining us, guys. And